not keeping my phones. I just looked into phone on silent.
10, 9, 8.
Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on whichever part of the world you're joining us today. I'm Ashish Bajaj, Director Sales at Harman Professional Solutions. We at Harman have loved bringing you the engaging Techno Chat series, which has been graced by many industry professionals and has received encouraging reviews. Continuing the legacy, today we bring you another episode which will help you all to meet and engage with three enterprising individuals, two of whom are core to the AMX business globally, and the other drive the sales functions for the AMX across the APAC and India region. So let's begin today's session. So guys, I would first of all like to welcome you for taking time out and joining us for the Techno Chat session, and that too live from Bangalore in India. So that's too great. I mean, so great to have you guys live. So
yeah, Ashish, thanks for having us. Yep.
Thank you.
Cool. So great. Let's get started. Friends, let me introduce this gentleman. As Vice President, Video and Controls, Jamie leads the AMX product offerings at the global level. He has been an integral part of Harman International, and after taking charge of AMX as a brand owner, he has driven the brand to the new heights. Accompanying him and sharing his vision of driving AMX into leadership position on the global platform is Jeff Burge. Jeff, in his capacity as a Director, Video and Controls, along with his team, ensures that they deliver world-class and industry-leading products to meet the ever-challenging business and communication demands for today's enterprise customers. Atul, my friend, drives the AMX sales in the APAC region and has been the catalyst for the growth which AMX has been able to achieve in the last few years. So guys, I mean, before I jump into the set of questions about the products and technologies we are moving, I think, Jamie, I have a question for you. Right? AMX has been a very long time for a very well-known brand for video switching and control as a company, right? After you taking over the role in 2019 as the product leader, can you share the vision and direction on the brand?
Yeah, sure. You know, if you talk about vision and direction for a brand like AMX, it's the first foundational thing I think I should say is that where we head with the brand isn't a departure from what the brand is, it's an expansion to all the great things that the brand has been known for. So if we kind of look back over 40 years of performance, what does those three letters stand for, AMX? You know, the market has come to accept that AMX stands for high performance, high reliability, and compliant with the needs of the most secure environments in the globe, right? So it's kind of the foundation of the business that we're built on. And as a foundation, that's something that will never change. That's something that the market, it's a need that's met in the marketplace. No one has ever filled that need the way AMX has, and we need to continue and expand upon that. So from a vision perspective, where do we go tomorrow? We have to look at what are the pillars of growth that sit atop that foundation. And I think with all the change that's happened in the market, post-pandemic, explosion of unified communications, the proliferation of so many talented programmers in the marketplace, people coming into systems integration from having grown up with vastly effective and robust technologies, what do we need to grow upon? And I think the first category is, the first growth category for the brand is really, looking at technology as a way, basically, how do we get more out of the technology that we're building? There's an expectation that people should be able to do more with less. So we need to look at how we design products and figure out what are ways we can extract more value from the individual investment someone makes in a box or a piece of software. The second pillar of growth is really, people want technology to be easier for them. And this is probably one of the most passionate areas that I think we all have for the brand and for where we head in the future is when you start talking about what does easy mean? Easy is a very subjective term. What's easy to one performer is a condition of that performer's competencies and capacity and talent. And what's easy to this performer is completely contingent on what his skill set is. So it's a very subjective view. And you look at what's happened in the marketplace in terms of different solutions that have come to market that try to simplify things. they always try to simplify things in one individual way. And so I think part of our excitement is the technology you're going to continue to see us launch throughout the remainder of our 40-year anniversary is new tools and new ways to appeal to different competencies and to different performers. So the third piece, the third vision piece is really, it's looking at price points, looking at taking that foundation of performance and reliability and the ability to operate in the most secure environments. Can we design, can we build, can we manufacture in a different way that allows us to be at a more efficient price point, a more cost-effective price point, and more attainable to a wider marketplace? And then the fourth and final thing is really, we have to look at the entire portfolio in context of the supply chain, in context of how things get built in a modern era of drastic supply constraints.
Which is most important nowadays.
That's, it's great to have great ideas, but if you can't build them,
Right.
if you got 50 to 90 week lead times on things, who cares, right?
Yep.
So a lot of the focus we put into the roadmap is, can we get more value from the product? Can we make it easier for all the different people? Can we come in at a better price point? And can we build it? Can we make it available? So we're really excited about the roadmap. We're really excited about everything we've launched. Most of the programs that you've seen launched over the last, particularly the last 6 to 9 months, are all things that are coming from this realignment to mission of what this AMX brand means, and just a ton more good stuff coming.
I think it sounds very exciting to know the mission, right? I think the 4 pillars really make sense. As you said, getting to my next question, I think over the past 6 to 9 months, there have been some fantastic product launches that we had, right? We started from presses in the month of, I think, around September time zone, right? Then we went into Jetpack, then we had an awesome looking Varia touch panels. And then at the most recent launch that we had, the ISC trade show, like a few weeks ago at Barcelona, right? We had the new SVSI units. But I think before we deep dive into all of them, I think let's start with the Jetpack ones. Presses has been there for a while, been very successful. Both in India and APAC, I think, we have seen a great success with that product category. But if you talk about the Jetpack specifically, I think quite a lot of focus has been on the education spaces, like thousands of classrooms are coming up. And in the last Jetpack session also, which we did from Singapore, right, we spoke about it. There's a huge investment that governments are doing across the region into the education space. And with Jetpack being the talk of the town since its launch, I think due to its plug and play capability, its utility-based feature sets, I think before we get into the deep dive of the products in the specs, I think I would like to know that, what were the thoughts when you guys were thinking about something like this, when you guys worked on it? So, I'm going to add.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's anything different to say about Jetpack that contrasts the mission that we just talked about, right? And if you look at Jetpack, when we're trying to look at the portfolio, there was one big piece missing from the portfolio, and that was, something that solves for complex needs of spaces that, you could say that Jetpack was almost even ideated for the spaces that didn't even really have a budget identified for a project.
Yeah.
There's so many rooms. You talk about all the growth, particularly in the India market. There's so many buildings being built, and yet some of these spaces aren't quite at the threshold of justifying a full AV system, but at the end of the day, there's still needs for connectivity. There's still needs for basic control. So we really, we put a lot of thought to what could we put together? What could we pull together? How much stuff could we get done with a very simple package, and hit a price point that is probably shocking to, folks that are familiar with the heritage of our brand. And, I think a lot of what went into Jetpack, there's so many great things. Jeff, maybe you can want to talk a little bit about the features of, what we put in there.
Yeah, we really focused with Jetpack on trying to make something that was robust, that was simple, that was fully featured, and a really, really good value. That was a real core, was finding something that really hit a price point and a great value. So we knew it was going to go into spaces that would be heavily used, so we needed really good build quality, robustness. If you hold these units in your hands, you can really feel the build quality. They're heavy, they're really well built. They're also really simple in a lot of different aspects. They're simple mechanically to install. It's a real simple connection, just a single cable from the receiver module to the wall plate, a single cable from there to the control plate. You power the receiver and it powers everything. So really simple to install. You get all three pieces in the kit, you put them in their place, you run the cable, you power it up, and
Right.
you've got a fully functional system.
I think that's the beauty, right? It's like truly a plug and play product. A
Yeah.
true plug and play, right?
Yeah. There's
Somebody as
no-
dumb as me doesn't need to program connects to install, right?
Exactly. There's not even any programming that you have to do. There's some configuration that you can do, but there's no programming required. The keypad, the control pad does what the control pad does. You can directly select source devices. You can adjust volume. You can mute. But even though it's real simple to install, it really is still a very high performing product. So you've got some advanced features in there like microphone connection at the receiver so that you can get voice lift in the space. A lot of installs more and more are requiring some sort of voice lift in the space so that you can get amplified speech so that you ensure that everybody in the space can hear. It's got a built-in amplifier that you can directly connect into speakers. It's got a separate line out if that amplification isn't enough or you need some additional
For bigger rooms,
routing
yeah,
of
you need
audio,
more
so you can
speakers,
put in a bigger amplifier. It's got a contact closure input that allows you to mute audio when you have a PA announcement that's happening in the system,
Like a fire
for
alarm.
example.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's got USB connectivity at the receiver, and that USB connectivity, although it's primarily focused at things like HID devices and smart panels, so that you can get USB touch from a smart panel back to a PC. That's a really great feature in itself. You can have then the trainer, the teacher up there tapping on the smart board, and those taps are getting transmitted back to the PC device. But it also does support up to 220 megabit per second USB transfer. So if you do have some of the smaller, lower resolution cameras, 720p, 1080p cameras, USB cameras, you can put those in at the receiver.
That's good to know because like it wasn't on the spec, but it's good to know you can actually use that USB
Yeah,
port.
because
For the
it's not a
cameras,
full
yeah.
bandwidth, it's not the full 480 megabit per
But still
second
does
bandwidth.
the job, right? Still does
You
the
do
job.
have to be a little careful about what USB cameras you
Right.
specify. If you
Got it.
specify a full, high-res, minimal compression 4K 60 camera, you might run into some bandwidth limitations. So, the point there is to test, to try out the camera that
Use
you
the
want in
basic,
that space.
yeah.
But yeah, it's driving towards that value. It's the value that we were able to deliver is really sufficient for most applications for the camera, without having to, really make the product a lot more expensive.
Cool. So Atul, if I pan to you, on this question, how is the jetpack, you think, market is accepting it? What's the uptake? I believe we are very excited. We hear people they really want it right now. But how is the market receiving? What's your perception?
Well, we have seen a tremendous positive response across Asia Pacific and India market. Customers are appreciative of the fact, and I think Jeff did touch on some of those, that it's economical, but at the same time, it is extremely feature rich. It has all the modern features which one would expect, like USB-C.
Good point. I forgot to mention that.
Exactly. So, USB-C is something which is really required for today's marketplaces.
Right.
And essentially, if you look at it, that the scalability the product can actually achieve because of the software we are offering with this particular product has gained a lot of traction into the market. And if I put it that, the kind of a quality and the build when you touch and feel that particular product is
Pretty
great,
solid.
is awesome. So overall, if I have to put it in context that, there is a significant amount of uptake of this particular product. If I have to put it into context, we recently received a quite large order for a corporate install, about 75 rooms.
Nice.
And as I think Jeff mentioned that, the USB camera and other things, there are many applications which are evolving out of Jetpack as a kit, and the feedback which we are getting from integrators is absolutely positive. We have also received an order for about 104 rooms for a university space. So there are a lot more applications than what we initially thought this particular product can achieve. Most importantly, the biggest positive is that we have this particular product in stock. We are able to ship. So the orders which we are receiving, we are able to ship almost immediately. I think that is helping us, and that is also helping the integrators to create a lot of traction into the market.
Well, the traction is very, very good because within India region also, there are close to around 10 to 12 universities who are actually evaluating this product right now. and there's a huge potential. Like, I mean, the best part is you come on a jet and it's a power pack solution. It's a jet pack. You just come and install and just go out. So I think it's a great product and well received. So I think moving forward, Jamie, I would like to actually hear from you the philosophy that we have behind the Varia touch panels. Right, we had a wonderful, long, successful, robust era of Modero. Right, everybody loves that touch panel. We still have you with us, I think. But when you launched this new Varia, which is like a big leap ahead of the old Modero, like we'll talk more about it. So what's the story behind this one particularly?
Yeah, you know, look, touch panels are an interesting topic in our industry because pretty much everyone has some kind of touch panel offering, but the entire marketplace has changed in terms of what people can do on touch interfaces, and we are in an app economy now, right? There are apps that are developed native for iOS, apps developed native for Android. There's web services that a lot of our global systems integrators are starting to write, where all of the dashboarding and automation is built into their own software applications. There's IoT, there's building management systems that already have software applications that present nice web serving dashboards for building control and stuff. And you know, it starts to inform us that touch panels really are expected to be more than just a proprietary control solution.
True.
Touch panels are really meant to, you know, be as flexible and versatile as almost what you expect from your own mobile device, but with all the performance and reliability and 24/7, always on performance characteristic that you expect to get from a pro grade, pro industry touch interface. So that was really the birthplace of the idea for Varia was, you know, how do we simplify bringing to market touch panels that can do more than just be a proprietary control interface, simplify the SKU management, make it easier for our distribution partners to have to order and inventory and warehouse less items, make it more efficient for our SIs to have project load in, project prep, and sparing strategies for their customers. How do we simplify that whole thing? Well, the way we do it is by rebuilding the entire base hardware, the base OS and everything from the touch panel to support all of these new conditions. And you know, the way that started to present to us that made sense was to kind of create this, you know, ambidextrous, almost morphing type of panel that takes on different personalities based on what you need this touch panel to be. So the idea was, what if it was a persona defined or maybe a persona enabled touch interface that can be different things for different people? And that was kind of the origin for it. So
I think you said it right. I think whether it's a distributor, it's an integrator, or it's the user who wants a very classy touch interface, because that's what a user will see, right? They don't want to see what's in the rack, right? So it answers everybody's requirement, right? So that's the best thing. So before we deep dive into the maybe the technical stuff, we have a small video on the Varia. So maybe let's kind of look at the video. So guys, can we have a video on Varia, please? But I can tell you how lovely the product looks. The sizzle looks more lovely. So it's very nice. So maybe, Chef, over to you, right? I mean, we'd like to touch upon the technical aspects of the feature sets about Varia. I mean, we heard the philosophy, the thought behind it. Let's deep dive into the more techie stuff.
Yeah, I think the four key takeaways for Varia is we designed it specifically to be simple to install. We designed it to be flexible in the performance and the operation. We designed it to have some advanced features, and we designed it to be future-proof.
Right.
So flexible install, as you saw in the video, we have panels that can be installed in the wall. The 5 and the 8 slim mounts go in the wall. We've got the 8, the 10, and the 15 that go in various different mounting positions. So you can put it on a wall, you can put it on glass, you can attach a sort of wedge-looking stand to it that harkens back to the aesthetic of our current Madero panels. It makes it nice if you've got a split install. Maybe you've already got some Madero panels there. You can use the wedge table stands. And it's really a beautiful aesthetic with that. If you want to go for a little bit more modern look, a little more flexible look, we have the fixed stand with a variable mounting option.
Cool.
In terms of the mounting angle. So just a few panels can be installed in a variety of different scenarios in a variety of different ways. They can also be used in a variety of different ways. So Jamie mentioned personas. At launch, the panels support 4 different personas, 4 different default applications for them. And those are as a G5 control panel. So what you would probably typically consider a Madero panel to be used for. So it runs TPD5 files, it connects to Netlix controllers, it does all the user interface that you expect in a control solution. It can also be configured to be a dynamic room book panel, something that shows all the room bookings for a space. It has all the same connectors that we have with the Madero book panels to connect into to Exchange or Google Meet or whatever. So one panel do either of those. It can also be a Zoom Room controller, which is a capability that we currently have today as well. It allows you to marry it with a Zoom Room solution in the space and be the controller for that Zoom Room experience.
That's what we really mean, that it's one panel, one SKU, which can do multiple jobs, right? Multiple personas.
Which
so
can do those personas. And I think the most exciting one is the web kiosk. So the ability to make it anything that you can think of that you've got a web server for, that you are providing some interface, you can use this panel in a web kiosk mode, point to that web server URL, and it makes it doesn't look like you're in a browser. You look like you get this really clean display of the control solution that you've coded separately. So
it's safe to say that we are the only one who does this. I mean, the industrial grade touch panel from a video brand.
I will say we're the only one that offers it in such a fundamental core part of the product. I think you can tweak other products on the market to get them to operate in this way.
But with a lot of extra stuff.
And you usually still need some sort of control piece. You can, with the Varia panel in web kiosk mode, you don't necessarily need any other AMX or even Harman equipment in this space at all.
So the true DNA, right, I mean, of AMX, like we'll do something, we bring something which is we are pioneers and we do great stuff for the markets. That's a true DNA that we still carry. So what's,
And we also brought the advanced features too, though. So we've got the advanced communication and intelligence features in the sense that we have on all the Varia panels a camera, at least the larger ones. We've got the camera, the microphone, the speaker.
Nice.
We also have proximity sensors, light sensors. They're all NFC enabled. So we've got some of these technologies that allow expanded use beyond just what these 4 personas are. And that leads to the future-proof aspect of it, right? It's a hardware computing engine. It's an operating system, and it's an app-based architecture that is designed specifically to be future-proof, to be expandable, so that we can add in additional personas, we can add support for additional applications that can get access to the cameras and the microphones, the proximity sensors, the light sensors, all of that.
And I'd like to add in there too, I think an important element of this kind of goes back to the business model of our SIs and our distribution partners, in the sense that, you know, one of the big frustrations I think most of the market has is having to have a decoder ring to understand all of the different SKUs that are offered by different manufacturers, because one product has this set of features, a very similar looking product has fewer features, or this product has a lot of these features but not these. And it's trying to figure out which one has enough horsepower, which one has enough capability, which one has the sensors. There's just too much decision making that sometimes has to go into it that doesn't really add value or add profitability to the SI model, right? So if you think about these SKUs that we built, the way we built them, there's no decoder ring. There's no trying to figure out which SKU has which capabilities in it. Every panel is of identical capabilities, and this is a huge thing because the only thing we want an SI or an end user to have to think about is what size do I want?
Right.
And once I pick a size, then it's just a matter of, do I want it to be on a wall or mount? I can add an accessory to make it table mount, but I don't have to go and find a different SKU, a different FG. I don't have to enter these additional values in my procurement system. I don't have to manage additional stuff in my back-end bookkeeping. It's just very simple, very clean. And I think that's a lot of the good feedback we've gotten on just the SKU simplification alone.
Absolutely, and I think I would love to give a lot of credit to Jamie and Jeff, because taking a step back, the name itself, some of our friends do pronounce it as Varia, some do pronounce it as Varia, but in nutshell, the name itself suggests that it can actually handle various different functions.
Right.
So Varia name suggests it can handle various different functions.
So I'll come back to you, Atul. I think at this time I would like to remind the audience on the show that, our chat box, our Q&A box is open right now. If you're dropping any questions, we want it to be interactive. Drop in any questions that you have, and we're gonna, at the end of the session, take those live and answer few. If we have a lot of questions, maybe we're gonna take few on the emails later on, but we'll come back to you guys again. So do drop in your questions into the chat box and we're gonna come back to you. So I think ISC was a very, very successful show for all of us, as I said at the beginning, right? I think everybody who visited us was super excited to see everything new from AMX at the booth. That's true, right? And the new SVSI boxes, the N2600, right, were loved by the partners, integrators, the end customers. While the existing portfolio that we have on SVSI is tremendously popular, we have done like great installs, some mega setups where all these have been working for years now. Since the time the SVSI kind of came into play, right? But then we had a rock solid product, but what's new in N2600? Jamie, that's a question for you, Ashley, that got you to bring this new line of network AV products?
Yeah, I think the N2600 represents alignment of all of the philosophies we're trying to bring into the roadmap in terms of how can we be a better business partner to our SIs, in the fact that first and foremost, we looked at the SVSI line, which was the highest performing, most robust networked AV portfolio in the market, and said, what can we do more with video? People are making an investment into getting video packetized and onto a network. But right now, the way traditional networked AV works is it's a box-to-box solution. Yes, it's transporting through a network and routable infinitely, but at the end of the day, it's packets going from one box to another box. And we wanted to kind of change that paradigm, because what we have found over the last couple of years is the number of SIs, in particular in the higher education space, people add transcoding peripherals into their applications to take those proprietary streams, transform them into more common, like H.264, H.265 streams, to get them into other ecosystems. Things like YouTube, Facebook Live, Wowza, get them into lecture capture things like Panopto. And so we really looked at the technology and said, what could we maximize out of that technology to actually deliver that capability natively out of that single box? So, fundamentally, we looked at SVSI as a way to say, can we deliver more value? Can we get more stuff happening out of the compute processing that we're putting into these components? The other thing was, looking at price efficiencies. Again, I mentioned earlier, one of our pillars was to look at how we're designing and how we're building, leverage the supply chain that's available to us from the greater Harman and from the greater Samsung ecosystems, and see what can we do more efficiently, what can we do more cost effectively, and pass those savings on to our business partners. And, and also, although I say it last, it's probably one of the most fundamental objective goals of this program was, we wanted to make sure we could build networked AV that we can actually build, right? You look at the entire marketplace of networked AV solutions, and with so many of the solutions built on the same chipsets, we had to look at a program to say, how can we guarantee we can get some production in front of the market and get this available? So a lot of work, and Jeff and the team and our R&D team have put so much effort into ticking all those boxes and making sure that we can do some of those things. Maybe you can expand on.
Do we have a?
Oh, yeah.
I think, yeah, so
Yeah.
maybe I come back to you, Jeff, in a while. We have a small sizzle video on the
Yeah,
new
good idea.
SSI boxes as well. So maybe we roll up to the video. You guys are just killing on the video, man. This video is very nice. I think I should talk about everything about the product. So it was very nice, 1 minute. So Jeff, back to you now. Let's know more in-depth technical feature sets.
Yeah. And before I go into more detail on the N2600, one of the things that we wanted to make sure we did with the product is not lose some of the great things that we have in the SVSI product line already.
Right.
We've been known as the highest quality, lowest latency, highest functional network AV product on the market.
Broadest portfolio.
Yeah, broadest portfolio of applications, most feature-rich, and we wanted to keep that. We wanted to continue that DNA, so we've kept all the things that people love, even though it's been in the market for a while. A lot of these are still unique features for SVSI, things like local play and host play, things like the video wall processing, dynamic ability to adjust scale and even take bezels into account, the independent routing, VLAN tagging, a lot of advanced networking features. When you get to network AV, networking is really a core piece of it, and we've had the most network friendly, the most full functional network products in the network AV space for a decade, since the beginning. We didn't want to lose any of that, so we kept all of that, all those great features that you know and love with our SVSI products. But on the concept of people wanting to do more with what we have, get more value for what they get, we did add a number of new features into this product line. So the N2600 builds on the video quality. It is actually a higher video quality, lower latency than the N2400. So it's a step up, even though it's a less expensive product. It also adds some additional advanced features. All of the products support a motion JPEG preview. So, small thumbnail image with a very slow frame rate update, but very web friendly. So you can actually point a browser directly into a specific URL of the box of an encoder and see the thumbnail, the live view video thumbnail of what's being encoded at that moment. For the boxes, and I'll step back, there's wall plates, which is another big advantage, right? So we have wall plates, that's what's coming out first. But not just wall plate encoder, but we've even created a wall plate decoder.
Which is the first one to do, right?
As far as I know.
Everybody was very excited at the show, seeing a decoder wall plate.
Yeah, from all the major brands, right? This is a pretty unique aspect to have a decoder. So if you've got a fixed install for your display, you don't have to fight to find some place to mount this thing behind the display or whatever. You got some big clunky box that's heavy. You can put the decoder
very clean install,
very cleanly into the wall, and a really nice install there.
I think, and I think one of the points which you did touch upon, that H.264 streaming.
The boxes have dual stream, so the boxes that are coming out a little bit later support not only the proprietary high quality, low latency stream, but simultaneously encode to H.264
Together?
at 1080p.
Simultaneous.
So you've got whatever source that you have coming in that you're encoding in the high quality stream, also simultaneously goes out in the 1080p or 720p H.264 stream.
That's a cool feature. That's a very cool
we have,
feature.
we have customers that buy our N2400 and our N3000 and they stack them together
Put
at
it
the
combine it
encoder
together,
side,
yeah.
stack them together at the decoder side because they need the two streams. They have different features, that, different needs. And so we've just brought that into a single box. So you can take H.264 out to a Panopto solution, a lecture capture, a storage solution, or a live stream like Facebook Live or YouTube or what have you. We even offer presets for you to choose what type of streaming environment are you going to be routing your H.264 to make it super easy to install. But it's not just the encoders, but the decoders also support H.264. They can't decode simultaneously, but they can switch back and forth between whatever stream you send them. If you send them a proprietary stream, they decode that. If you send them an H.264 stream, they decode that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be our H.264 stream from our encoder. It could be any H.264 streams that you might already have in the building. So if you've got IPTV streams or you've got signage streams that are happening over H.264, you can use that same decoder and not have another box mounted to the back and have to manage switching source devices and things like that. So
I think great product Varia, right? Wonderful feature set, new SVSI. What's the market story about it? What do you think?
Well, I think the first response which we got since the day it is launched during IC, the first response we always get is like N2600 is affordable but extremely feature rich and probably one of the best in class 4K 60 AV over IP solution. And the fact of the matter is that, and I think SVSI, most of our product sets, we are not only bringing in the proprietary compression 4K 60, but it also has parallel streaming. We are talking about USB 2.0 full feature set, which means that we have been able to share between the cameras.
And I forgot to mention that, right? An upgrade in the USB. We've supported 1.1 HID for a while. These N2600s support full bandwidth USB 2.0 from the decoder to the encoder. Independent switching of the stream. So for UC applications, you can get your camera, your soundbar back to a source device.
Exactly. So I think, some of the most recent requirements, what we have seen in the industry where USB 2.0 full bandwidth and especially sharing of the devices, whether it's a soundbar or the camera. When you switch to the applications, can you switch these particular appliances which are in the room? So that is something which is received very well into the market. Most importantly that SVSI comes with the open API. So it is not, we are not constrained to use it only with the AMX ecosystem. But even if you have a third party control system, you will be able to use those video streaming done by N2600. So I think to capture the 4 or 5 big points which market is really embracing in terms of N2600 is the affordability. Second thing is that USB 2.0 transport. So whether it's a web conferencing, whether it's an active learning application, or even for that matter the large convention centers, it has been adopted pretty well. So I mean, just to let you know that the response is so overwhelming, and the fact is that we are, when we launch a particular product in ISC, we are in a position to ship in next few weeks, which means that there is so much of demand for this particular product that we are already received the orders for a large convention center. We are working.
I can tell you, we booked an order on the trade show from an Indian customer.
Absolutely.
And it was a smaller quantity of like 30 units for a small setup. But that guy was like, just give me this. Because also we are the ones which are available.
Yeah.
Right? That's the best part to win, right? We are the ones who are available.
It is opening a lot more opportunities, whether it's a active learning space or it's a conferencing solution, whether it's a corporate, education, government, or large venues. There is a tremendous amount of capability this product brings in onto the table. So availability is also a key.
I think everybody's gonna love you guys because you're the only one saying we are shipping.
We have it.
Yeah, we are shipping.
We are shipping.
And
place your order.
Yeah, place
the wall plates we are shipping right away, and the boxes will be launched in a couple of more months, and we'll be shipping immediately after that.
So I think before we get into the Q&A, I think great conversation. So first of all three of you, Jamie, Jeff, Atul, great conversation. Thank you very much for your time. today and joining us today on this show and giving us your valuable inputs.
And Ashish, let me thank you for hosting this event. We love the format, and I just also want to take a moment to say thank you for sharing your birthday with us for this event today.
Oh,
and
Very happy birthday.
thank you. So I think over the years, back to the script. So I think over the years, I mean, we have been bringing great stuff to the market, right? I think, and on this special year, the 40th birthday of AMX, I'm like 1 year older. So the story sounds more and more exciting for all of us with all the new products that are coming out. I'm sure that everybody is going to be very excited with the wider scope that we have brought in, the renewed energy that we have brought in. I think we're going to all have a lot of fun. So like I said, thank you very much. Great session. I'm sure our audience would have loved it. So maybe let's roll over to the Q&A. I'm sure there would have been some questions that we would have seen in the chat window. So guys, can you just throw in some questions for me on the chat window? And I can read it for you guys. I promise you guys are answering, not me. I'll just read it for you. Okay, so I see the first one, and it says, can we expect any more products in the traditional AV space in the next 12 months? So
I think that's a fair expectation. I mean, if you look at the video business is a business of keeping up with signal and connectivity standards, and there's always more resolutions coming, there's always more connectivity coming, and there will always be a flow of traditional AV products coming. So I think it's a safe thing to expect.
Yeah, we started a little bit with traditional AV with the Precis line. We've come out with the Jetpack, which is kind of a unique piece. Then Varia in our touch panels. Then SVSI. We've got some control things. It's all a cycle. So traditional AV is still there, and definitely got more in the pipeline for that.
And I'm sure that the kind of a response we are getting from APAC and India market, the number of orders which are flowing through for Precis as well as for Jetpack, I'm sure that these two gentlemen are focusing on the traditional AV.
They're gonna be busy.
Going forward.
So the next one, I think Jetpack is USB-C ready. What all signals does USB-C carries? So
yeah, that's a good question. So the USB-C on Jetpack supports video, supports audio. It supports USB 2.0, USB 1.1, and USB 2.0. And the question that we get a lot is about power, and unfortunately there is no power delivery over the USB-C connection on Jetpack.
Okay.
But there's a lot of options in the market to provide some injection. But audio, video, USB signals all over the single USB-C connection.
That's nice. Guys, do we have another question for us? Okay, somebody's typing up. Okay, so it's about Varia. I think there are two questions there. So it says, Varia really looks a cool product. Are we shipping them now? And the second question is, are we planning to add any more personas as we go into the future? So maybe shipping. So Atul, you want to take that?
Sure, I'll take the first one.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, the 5.5 inch and 8 inch slim mount which we launched, we have it in stock. We are shipping it right away.
Great.
So if you are going to place an order today, we can ship it tomorrow, technically.
So guys, talk to your sales guys. Place your orders.
As far as the 10 inch as well as 8 inch, the regular mount is concerned, we are launching that in March. So it should be available in next few weeks' time. So practically, we would have every single thing shipping in next 1 month's time, 1.5 months' time. So absolutely, Varia is available for you to order.
Yeah, and the second part of the question was, I think maybe Jeff, you can take it. I mean, are we planning to add any more personas in the future?
It kind of goes back to that future-proof concept that we talked about for Varia. That's one of the core aspects of the product is that we want it to be expandable. And yes, absolutely, there will be more personas, more functionality that we continue to instill. We have actually quite a long-range roadmap of functionality, firmware updates, OS updates, improvements in the Varia product line. So this is just the beginning. The 4 personas are just the beginning.
That's nice, yeah. So another one is on the SVSI, N2600. Does this range have AES67 like the previous SVSI devices?
Yeah, so at the moment the wall plates do not support any Dante or AES-67. They do support PCM digital audio transmission.
Okay.
That PCM audio is our standard PCM audio stream. It's actually compatible with all of our other decoders in all of our other, even an N2400, you could decode the audio stream that's coming from N2600. It's also compatible with the current 4321, the N4321. It takes the PCM audio in and converts it to analog audio. We have some additional announcements that we'll be making around the boxes. The boxes are coming out here in a few months. The original plan, I'll let you know, kind of an internal secret, right? The original plan for these products was to include Dante from the beginning.
Okay.
And it was hardware Dante chipsets. You know, the product has been in the pipeline for a little while, and as most everybody knows, right, you just can't get Dante chipsets anymore.
So you're saying the
chips
plan is there, just
are
because of the chips, it's kind of delayed
not
at the
available.
launch. Okay, that's
so
cool.
yeah, we've got some plans. So stay tuned. We will have some announcements around some audio features.
So it's coming soon.
Coming up.
When you get the chips, it's coming soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another one is on the Varia. So does Varia comes with the mounting enclosures in the box for wooden and glass partitions?
So I'm not sure what's meant by enclosure. There's no enclosure. There's no inset like the Maderos have the sort of
So is there a mounting
inset
arrangement that comes with the box?
piece.
Yeah.
There is no
Well,
like
compartmentalize first. I mean, between the slims and the
yeah.
maybe
Yeah,
break
so-
it down that way first. Yeah.
So yeah, the slims it's kind of an on-wall, in-wall. The slims are right. It does actually need. There is a part that protrudes into the back of the wall, and you do need some sort of mounting back box there. But you can use a lot of standard back boxes. We don't provide any back box in the product itself.
But a standard back box is can be
standard
used.
gang
A
box.
lot of
Okay.
standard gang boxes, back boxes out there. For the on walls, it's a standard VESA mount. So it does not inset in like the flush mount Maderos that people may be used to. It just goes any VESA. It does come with a VESA plate that you can install on the wall.
Okay.
And that plate anchors the on-wall panel directly. That plate also has a double-sided sticky pad in the box with it that you can use then to mount it on glass.
So there is a VESA mount that comes in the box for the hard surface, and there is a sticky adhesive for the glass that also
the
comes in the
glass.
box. Okay.
Yeah, but there's no inset box.
Okay, got it. Which
I
they can
may-
use standard ones, right?
Yeah.
Which they can use standard ones.
If I may just add, I think when the Varia panel was launched, we were discussing and we did a little bit of analysis and we realized that, if you're comparing Varia with any of the competitors' range, you would probably, the kind of a personas and the mountings, the different options we have actually come up with, you may need 6 different SKUs from the competition just to compare with one single Varia panel. That's the beauty of this particular product.
Right. That's great. So the other one, it says, is the open API and the standards protocol are the upcoming trend for most of the AMX products, unlike the other AV manufacturers in the industry? Can I take it?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of what we talked about when we opened up is, we have to be easier to work with and to interoperate with different systems. We want to recognize that there's a lot of different automation backends, software backends, there's IT infrastructure, there's things like Zoom's native ability to just reach out and control devices directly. So not only do we look at the entire product set as a bare minimum requirement to have an open API, but we also build resources and tools and publish them to our web to even make it easier for other people's back-end systems to interact with our open API. And the best example I can make of that is our Zoom JSON builder. If you go to amx.com and go to developer resources, you'll find a Zoom JSON builder that actually products like Jetpack, products like the N2600 are available as part of the drop-down in there, and you can just basically configure your Zoom JSON, export it, and upload it to your Zoom Room controller.
Oh.
So not only do we do the open API, but we also are trying to make it more useful to have that open API.
Cool. It's good to know. I think we'll take a couple of more questions.
Sure.
For the time that we are at the moment. So, did we do any testing for Varia with any hotel PMS, or do we have any alignment with an SI for any customization? So, can I go into hospitality?
Do you want it or do you want me? You got
I can start. from the beginning, right, we're focused on the 4 personas. From the hotel integration, that would be the alignment there would be with our web kiosk persona, and the web kiosk performance that we have inside the box is a standard browser. It's the standard, it's a standards-based browser. So as long as the web server is a standards-based server, a standard HTML5 server, then from that perspective, there shouldn't be any issues with compatibility between the web kiosk. I think we're open to, and maybe you can take the SI integration piece. Because of the flexibility of the product, we're definitely available to discuss whatever custom requirements that an SI, an integrator might have.
Or somebody comes with a big scale project which needs some customizations on some apps or personas.
Well,
Right.
the
That's very good.
the architecture is built to support our SIs doing the creative things they want to do, not to force them to use the tools we put in front of them. So a lot of the customization conversation is really one that doesn't even have to happen. The whole architecture is built to support, it's basically meant to be an enterprise appliance to support things they're already doing on their own and already to work with the customizations that they're driving in their space. So I think there'll be more to come on that front, but I think what you'll find is that the more you experiment with the panel, and the more you take advantage of the personas that we've embedded in it, and the more you play with the app architecture of it, you'll start to discover that this is the any panel for any person appliance.
I think you said it very well, Jamie. I mean, this particular touch panel or Varia should not be looked as a replacement of Modero, because we are talking about way more, because it is unfolding a lot of opportunities, and it's great to see that some of the hospitality partners are asking these questions that, look, you are out of box supporting 4 personas. Can I take the advantage of web kiosk to
It's
use
good to
this?
the audience is
application?
thinking, and we can use
Yeah,
this.
that's wonderful
It's
to
good
see.
know that,
Right? I think that exactly is the purpose why this particular product was built, and it's good to see that the uptake and thinking
Yeah.
process is going on, where
Yeah,
different
cool.
applications are thought of.
I think looking at the time, I think maybe just 2 more questions, or how is it going? Good with the questions? Okay. So the question is, what's the time frame of things like Varia and 2600 to be integrated into CloudWorks?
So
Jeff, you guys.
yeah, we have a product that's getting close to being publicly available, CloudWorks Manager Desktop.
Okay.
And that CloudWorks Manager Desktop is centered around giving users the ability to discover, mass deploy, mass configure CloudWorks compatible devices on the network. Varia is shipping fully functional with CloudWorks today. So the products that you buy today, fully functional with CloudWorks. The CloudWorks software that's available today is still in beta, but within another month or 2, we're going to have a public release, a full functional release. And at that point, then you'll be able to download that off of our website, put it on your own PC, and plug that into the network, and you'll discover all the Varia panels. You'll be able to see whether they've been configured with a specific persona yet or not. If they haven't, you can configure them as the persona you want them to be. You can select multiples of them and do that in bulk. For ones that have, you see all the configurations that that particular type of panel supports, whether it's a Modero control panel and you need to configure things like device ID and what controller to connect to and that sort of thing, or whether it's a book panel and you need to configure all of the connections into your scheduling system.
CloudWorks is there.
It's all
Cool.
there.
Yeah.
So IT managers or the facility managers are going to love the kind of the
Deployment process.
the deployment
Yeah.
process,
Right.
and it's going to be extremely easy for them to use.
So the question included the N2600. For
Yes.
the N2600, that's coming a little bit later. The wall plates that you're buying today are not going to be compatible with CloudWorks out of the box, but we do have firmware update that will be coming that will make them compatible with CloudWorks. There will probably also be an update to the CloudWorks software to add some additional functionality for the N2600s. If you've ever configured from A to Z, the N2600 or any of our SVSI products, you know how many configuration items there are in that web interface, right? There's tabs and tabs and tabs. There's a lot to define there. So there's a fair amount of work getting that all into CloudWorks and easily supported and
It's good to know. I think so. It's a few
compartmentalized, but-
months you're saying maybe coming soon, right?
Yeah,
That's
it's
good.
definitely coming. And really all of the products that we're coming out with, we have plans
Tie back to CloudWorks.
to
Yeah.
tie them back into the CloudWorks ecosystem.
Great to hear that. Yeah. So another question: are there any training programs available that we can attend in person? Can we get to see the samples of the newly launched products? I'll take it. Easy. So I think yes, absolutely yes, guys. We have training programs on a regular basis. We do it on a monthly basis. There is a calendar that we can share. So maybe reach out to Atul and just be the samples are there. Reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to give you samples. You can use them, try out, give demos to your customers.
Absolutely.
The answer is sweet yes for both. Guys, can we have the last one? How about it? Ready for the last question? Okay, so I see one more. The last question. Okay, it's pretty big. I'm working on a significantly large opportunity, and should I be considering this for supply around August-September timeframe? And we need 200 plus units of network AV products.
So
Atul, you want
this
to
is for N2600?
This is for, yes,
Yeah,
network
network
AV, N2600.
Right. So
And it says that around August, September timeframe. Do we spec it? Is it coming?
well, I think, we are talking about 6 months down the line, and I mean, I'm glad to hear that, someone is thinking of putting in 200 plus. Please feel free to add in more. August, absolutely possible. In fact, to be fair, even July, it will be also possible.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So, I mean, a short answer is that absolutely yes. Please do spec in. We'll be happy to support you. Make sure that it is available in your hands, in front of your customers. So, I think the great philosophy by which the AMX is launching the products which are shippable and not something which is like going to be like wait time of 8 months or 10 months. So,
Right.
the answer is absolutely yes.
I think it's a great question at the end of the session. Sorry, you were saying something. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Honestly, it's a great question towards the end of the session. I think the most exciting one, right? The people really want the product. So I think maybe for Atul, maybe you guys won't get it. But so how's the Josh?
Hi, sir.
That's great. So guys, thank you very much for this great session, for your time. Guys, people on the call, I think a big thank you to you all for watching this episode. And I'm sure that today's conversation gets you as excited as we are with regards to the AMX. Your encouragement is what keeps us going. And we'll continue bringing these sessions more and more to you guys with the industry leaders. So watch out for this space. We would love to hear from you. Share your comments, share your views. Until next time, goodbye. Thank you.